Bonjour, dans le cadre de la série Entrevue présidentielles, l'AQMAT reçoit aujourd'hui M. Kevin Macnab, qui a été choisi pour présider et être le chef de la direction de Home Hardware Store en octobre 2018. Il arrive avec une carrière de 30 ans d'expérience dans le commerce de détail, dont 17 ans à Toys R Us, 12 ans chez Marks & Spencer. Il est toujours membre de l'Association des comptables agréés d'Angleterre. Il a présidé le Conseil canadien du commerce de détail et il est avec nous aujourd'hui à nos bureaux. Monsieur Macnab, we're really glad to welcome you here.
Merci Richard, je suis très heureux d'être ici.
Until your nomination, Home Hardware traditionally chose the CEO from among the troops. You are the first outsider. Do you see this as being an obstacle or an advantage?
I very much see it as being an advantage in that I respect the experience of people in the company and the great history it has. And I'm there to build on the past for a brighter future. So providing I communicate that, convey that, and demonstrate that through my actions, it's an advantage because I bring new and different insights, and I'm generally finding people are very interested in new approaches.
If I may ask a personal question, were you familiar with the building? I mean, are you a do-it-yourselfer?
I'm familiar to the do-it-yourself sector to the extent that I think I've done major renovations in the 4 or 5 houses I have lived in with my wife over the years. Okay. So I'm fairly familiar with the space and contractors and builders. So yes, I have a familiarity.
The numbers show that your banner benefits from consistent progress for over many years. No big acquisitions, no huge fusions either, but sound organic growth. Will this still be the scenario for the years to come?
Home Hardware has grown generally through consistent growth with dealers joining the network. The last major acquisition was Beaver Lumber.
Wow.
In 2000. Mm-hmm. So that was the last significant event. We intend to continue to build out through dealers joining us as they choose to join as independent dealer owners. That isn't to say that we might make different decisions in the future because we'd be open to it, but the dealer-owned model is what works, and really we want to focus our energies and our growth on providing great programs to our dealers for them to choose to join us.
Because I presume that you have the financial assets to look at acquisitions, so theoretically it's possible. It's a question of culture, I suppose.
And I would tell you,
you are in good health financially speaking.
We're in good health financially speaking. We have a strong balance sheet. Where we're looking to invest is on improving the services that we're providing to dealers through looking at using big data analysis to support marketing and merchandising. And so we're investing there more on the technology side in our distribution network. But we do have the financial wherewithal to choose other opportunities as well.
Am I wrong if I say that there's no corporative stores? All stores that are related to the famous red or orange, nobody is clear on that. Is it orange or red? Depends if you're a male or a female, I suppose. Hey,
it's definitely red.
It's definitely red. Okay. So am I right if I say that all retailers that are related to home hardware have to be owners of their stores? There's no cooperative stores like we see in other groups?
So there are 2 or 3 corporate stores.
Okay.
2 of which are in St. Jacobs, which is where our head office is. Mm-hmm. But every store, other store in the country, and we have 1,050 odd stores across the country, or 1,050 stores across the country, are owned by dealers. And there is no corporate investment in those stores. Mm-hmm. So in the Quebec marketplace, we have over 135 stores, and they are owned by Quebecers, 100%. Mm-hmm. No corporate investment. And I think the model supports local entrepreneurs and local businesses.
am I right if I say that there's a kind of regional consolidation? And so, they are owning their companies, but they are now owning 2, 3, or 4 point of sales? And it's a tendency, it's a trend?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So we have 1,050 stores. We have 950 shareholders.
Okay.
Approximately. There are quite a few groups who own more than one store. I don't know if it's a trend because I haven't been in the business long enough. I've been here 15 months for me to say it's a trend. But certainly there are a number of dealers who own more than one store, and they are happy with the program, so they keep building it out. And of course, within this industry, succession planning is often critical for a dealer owner.
For sure.
A number of them hope that it passes through the family, but that doesn't always work out that way. And as a successful network, we do have dealers who are looking to build out and grow other stores.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the battles we are having with other business associations, which is trying to convince the governments to make the law, the bylaw, and everything, the fiscal environment to be more favorable, positive for the legacy of the companies to their children or key employees, and that's another.
Yeah, it's incredibly important because you see generations of a family have been in home hardware as a business. And we've worked closely with those families and helped them build their livelihoods.
Yeah.
And to see that continuing, it's really great to see. I mean, I look at it as our company, which is owned by the dealers, 100% owned by the dealers, because they all have shares in Home Hardware Stores Limited, is supporting over 20,000 families across the country, giving them an opportunity to build livelihoods, and I think that's incredibly important. And not only have we been, we talk about growing the number of stores, Richard, but last year, if I look at the province of Quebec, our sales were up in high single digits.
Yes.
So the industry is healthy, and for us, we're seeing growth, and we see through our strategies that's going to continue.
From the talks we've had so far in the past year or so, I see you as an agent of change. How hard is it to influence cultural change within a company, especially a cooperative like Home Hardware that has reaped good success by doing things using the same recipe?
That's a really interesting question. I found that people in the organization, including the dealers and the team members, are very receptive. I think, yes, I come in as an agent of change, but I do respect the past, and I respect the people, I respect the success. The difference is that the dealers and the team members, many of them recognize that we need to change. It's an increasingly competitive marketplace, and there needs to be change for us to continue to be competitive. So they're very accepting of the approaches that I put forward. So generally, their adoption of what we need to do is very, very strong.
How come do they know that they need to change where the numbers are still there for their shareholders? I mean, the retailers, business is good. So how come you and your colleagues know that you need to change?
So the success has been driven by the programs we've given and the dealer owners adopting them. That doesn't mean the dealer owners haven't seen the opportunities of what we can improve. For instance, we can improve our flyers by using big data, looking at the results and optimizing those flyers. So even though the flyer programs have been successful, we can optimize those. And I've explained to the business how we should go about that. There's a recognition as well that we can better leverage negotiations. Part of my journey last year was across the country. I had 2 markets where I spoke to all the dealers, and so there were over 800 in attendance in those meetings. I did 14 town halls across the country, and what I talked about was the case for change and why they needed to make change and the benefits. So if you look at the use of big data, you look at leveraging our negotiations better, look at e-commerce and the digital world. How do we approach that differently? What should we be doing in commerce? The dealers and the team members understand that we need to make changes, and my role is to influence them and help them understand how we do that and the benefits. So far it's working well.
Yeah, because we said a word at the beginning of the interview about the fact that you're coming with about 30 years of experience in the retail. But the changes during the last few years and especially during the years to come are much faster. I mean, even for you as a CEO, you have to take a curb, very rapidly. Everybody has to, no?
They do. So I have the advantage that actually I was responsible for retail in 38 countries. So I have an understanding of different retail marketplaces, different retail dynamics, and really applying that knowledge and saying, what are the right directions for home hardware? What's important to us digitally? How do we think about customer loyalty? So there are a variety of strategies that I've been working with the dealers and talking to the dealers and the team members that we are adopting that will continue to grow out the business because we are a successful business.
Yes.
So part of the challenge, you say, is what is the case for change? Well, the case for change is the opportunity to build beyond where we are today.
Do you see huge difference between the Canadian market and the other one one of the ones that you know very well is the United Kingdom? So can you say a word about the business over there? Is it more conservative or the opposite if you compare it to the Canadian market, especially in our sector? Or
I would tell you about the UK market. The big difference is that there are over 60 million people, we'll have to fact check, but over 60 million people in that country.
Yeah.
So the competitive dynamic of the online marketplace is different to Canada, where we have a smaller population spread across a much larger landmass. So those are the differences. So the UK market is very advanced in e-commerce, highly advanced, whereas the Canadian market is still building out. So there are learnings that we can apply from whether it's delivery of lumber in the UK to delivery within Canada. There are things that we can learn from that marketplace.
I heard you initiated a 3-year strategic plan. You don't need to share details, but perhaps maybe 2 or 3 main changes you and with the support of your board are now conducting, please.
So the first major area of work is using data from our point of sale information to provide analysis on what the end customer is buying, whether it's in hardlines or it's in LBM, and using that to help us optimize our flyers, optimize our merchandising. So it's really the use of big data and that analytics to support decision making. That would be, I would say, the first key strategic initiative. The second one is leveraging our negotiations
with the suppliers.
We had in August a supplier partnership meeting, and that was an incredibly important event because I believe that you grow businesses, yes, with great teams and great dealer owners, but you grow them with suppliers. But you grow them with suppliers who are going to be strategic in their partnerships with you. So we held a meeting last August, and we continue to work with suppliers about what the future looks like. So we're really trying to leverage our volume to improve our programs for our dealers to build out the future. So that was the second key strategic initiative. The third strategic initiative is about what does our e-commerce business look like? How do we build it out? How does it come into life in hardlines? What's the impact of the digital journey in lumber and building materials? Because it's a different journey. So we very much look at how do we build out e-commerce and our digital footprint. I put the two together. One of our other key strategies is building out in the province of Quebec. We've added 72 stores over the last 10 years. And as I see it, we have an opportunity for another 60 stores in this marketplace.
Let's talk about Quebec. Parlons du Québec. How do you see us? as just 20% or so of the Canadian market share, or does home hardware need to address issues and propose solutions in a different way for your Quebec retailers and their customers?
I recognize Quebec as a very unique marketplace. I've done business in Quebec. I've been in Canada for at least 25 years.
Yeah.
So I recognize it as a unique marketplace, and that does require some adaptation of the national programs. So when I talk about strategic direction is to build out in the province, within that, I recognize there are other things that we may need to do. The advantage we have is that dealer owners, which would be Quebec dealer owners, can localize their assortments. Mm-hmm. Altogether, between hardlines and LBM, we have over 40,000 SKUs. So dealers can localize their assortments in their own marketplaces. But in addition to that, I still think we can continue to improve local merchandise that is important in this marketplace. And of course, always what you need to continue to look at is how your marketing in the Quebec marketplace.
May I ask you what you think about not the local market, but the opposite now, the global market? Let's call it Amazon, just to be short.
My perspective is that we at Home Hardware have a unique advantage in that we have 1,050 locations across Canada.
Yes.
And we have dealer owners who living in those communities across Canada. So what we need to do is put that service level and that community engagement together with a strong e-commerce and distribution infrastructure, and as a means of competing with Amazon.
Do you think that those big guys will have biggest share in the future, or we're able just to protect ourselves?
I think it's incredibly important to fight for market share and to put the right tools in our dealer owner hands and give them the tools with the service and their involvement in local communities to make a difference. I think if you're a retailer who doesn't do that, then it's going to be a challenging marketplace. Mm-hmm. But I'm very confident in our plans and our ability to give our dealers the right tools for them to compete.
Mm-hmm. Monsieur Macnab, merci beaucoup pour cette entrevue.
Merci beaucoup, Richard.